we start going up this mountain, and it just gets steeper and steeper and steeper. And then all of a sudden, all the curves, all the corners, you know how they're supposed to be tapered towards the inside of the road? Well, these were all tapered towards a cliff that you could fall off that was over 200 feet up. So then by that point, I'm leaning over the motorcycle trying to get pictures because I think it's cool as hell. My dad's freaking out, and he's like, nope, we're turning around. So then, of course, you're on this stupid narrow road. You got no shoulders.
All right, ladies, buckle up. It's showtime.
Whoa, now that's camping.
Haven't gotten lost in the woods, have you?
Not again.
I think I broke something.
You tired of being the tram donkeys? Acting like you some one-man GPS?
You're listening to the Shank Outdoors Podcast.
Well, Chad, thank you for coming on and taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us on this week's episode. So for our listeners, this is my younger brother, Chad Shank. So he's decided to join the YouTube creators, and he's a very outdoorsman person. We all are as a family. Chad is looking at building himself an Overland rig, and we're just gonna pick his brain and see how he came up with his name, Shank Exploration, what his ideas are for an Overland build, and what his plans are for 2022. So Chad, thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks, Sky, for having me tonight. Really looking forward to having this conversation with you about myself and my YouTube channel that I've just fired up recently.
So what brought you to wanting to create and put yourself on YouTube? Many people just like to be outdoors, but it's a whole nother level of recording yourself and putting yourself out there.
Well, what got me started is, especially you and many other small YouTubers that are now starting to really pick up speed and steam, is I've been watching them for a long time on YouTube and watching them grow. And I've had a lot of people over the years that I'm telling them stories of me hunting and fishing and doing just everything we do outdoors. I've had some great adventures over the years, and a lot of people have go, "Why don't you video that?" And I go, "Because I think about it after I did the stupid thing before I thought about grabbing a video camera." So now moving forward, I've decided, with life getting so busy and stuff, having a video camera kind of makes me step back and look at something a little bit more before I do it. So I kind of find it slows me down sometimes rather than just going head first. So I've kind of found it very difficult to learn. I currently got a little mini video series that's a secret, though. It's for my build.
I'm excited.
But that's in progress. That's going to take a little while. And
I guess this video series isn't much of a secret now that it's out to the world.
Yeah, it's part of it's a coming build for this summer, we'll say. So that's been going on. So I've been kind of teaching myself how to video and having multiple cameras going and everything. And I find that it's actually quite relaxing videoing. And then I also find, when it's late at night, I've become a night owl lately. So I kind of find late at night, if my brain won't shut down, I start editing a video or messing around with ideas. And then all of a sudden, next minute I know it, I'll be halfway through editing a video and I pass out. So
I've never done that, but I've definitely night owl myself, and that's where I found my most time. Oh, we're going to pause this. Chad accidentally got his phone there hung up. We'll be right back. All right, we've got him back. All right, so you've realized, and you know what? Not even just taking back and really slowing down your adventure, and being able to show your videos to people that you're trying to tell a story to. You're even able to now look back at when your two children are younger, yourself and your wife, right? Because you're only getting older. You're going to be able to look back at those memories now and actually see the memories than just what you remember in your mind. And that's the other great thing about being on YouTube is if you're doing it to share your adventures and you want to look back, you have those videos now of going back and even watching yourself evolve, right? Going from when you first started pumping out videos to when you have 50 videos out, you're going to change drastically in between those 50 videos of learning how to edit, adding music, taking different shots where the camera is, or multiple cameras, who knows what your plan is. But that is the biggest win for ourselves, is that we get to then really enjoy those adventures. Because just like a picture, right? You see a picture of an adventure you did 7 years ago, let's say us at Golden, and we can all talk and laugh about it because that picture, brings back those memories. But now if we were to record it, we can see everything that we did.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And actually, I was discussing that with my wife, Samantha, as well. How it'd be nice to, even 5 years down the road, be able to look back at a video and laugh and show the kids when they're a bit older and go, look how little you were and what we were doing. Look at all this crazy stuff we did. Because having a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, well, almost 2-year-old, 2 year coming up, life just gets busier and busier. So it'll be kind of fun to be able to look back and go, look, kids, this is all the crazy stuff we used to do that we're still doing. You were just much younger and smaller. As a person that has never taken a lot of pictures or videos in my past, I've done a lot of great stuff, from motorcycle camping in Alberta, BC, and Montana, both riding on a motorcycle with my father, and then also riding my own motorcycle, thousands of kilometers on a motorcycle, doing all that stuff. I have small pictures, but not a lot of pictures of all those memories. All those memories are in my head. And now, since I'm older, I wish I could look back and show my kids, like, look at all the stupid stuff your father used to do all over the place.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of that stuff that I also now, with being older, have realized that I want to be able to share it. And if no one likes my YouTube videos, okay, not a big deal. It's more also so I can enjoy them later on.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of benefits to it.
100%. So Shank Exploration, how did you come up with that name? Because I know a lot of people spend hours and days thinking of names when creating a channel. And some people just put their name, just, Chad Shank. So how'd you come up with Shank Exploration, and why did you choose Shank Exploration?
So it did take me a while to actually really think about it. I had a few ideas in my head at the time. I don't even really remember them all. But I wanted my last name first. I didn't want my first name in it. Chad Shank, it just kind of, I don't know, just doesn't really have a ring to it. Chad Shank. Well, who's Chad Shank? Yeah, like, who's this guy? But so I really wanted Shank as the first thing. I'm proud of my last name, and I can shank you. I can do what I want. But anyways,
Yeah.
so with Shank, so I had a whole bunch, and I couldn't figure it out. And then the one that just clicked in my head the one day was exploration. What do I do? Well, I like exploring things. I like getting out there. And, exploration, you go to these destinations anywhere and you explore those areas. And it doesn't also define you as one thing. A lot of YouTube channels, I've also noticed their names defines them as one thing. Exploration, in my opinion, is anywhere from fishing to hunting to ATVs, snowmobiles, side-by-sides, canoeing, kayaking. Anything can be lumped into that group, and that's all the stuff I do, and that's kind of what got me to go on it. I also really liked the Ring of Shank Outdoors, so I kind of wanted something totally different, but in the same kind of measure. So that kind of led me to Shank Exploration.
And now we're just going to confuse everybody. So we have one person Shank Outdoors and one person Shank Exploration. Two different Shanks, but at the end of it, that's the same reason I chose Shank Outdoors, was because we're always, whatever adventure we're doing, can be multiple things outdoors. Right? Like you said, fishing, hiking, hunting, overlanding, camping in general. We enjoy the outdoors, and we wish we could get out more often than we do, but we definitely get out way more than most people.
Yes, I would agree. If I could get out way more than what I do, I would. But unfortunately, life happens, renos, work, everything else. But that is also a lot of people I talk to. It's like, wow, I actually get out a lot more than I thought. It's like you went out once this year. I've been out I don't know how many times.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it is interesting in that aspect.
Yeah. When you
actually.
talk, same thing here with work, right? I feel like I don't get enough at all. And then you talk to people at work, and they take that one vacation week, and that's their camping trip for the year. Otherwise, they're doing stuff around the city, or at home. They're not doing they're not going anywhere, right? It blows my mind, because here I'm stressing that I'm not getting out enough, but we go out and do something basically every weekend if we get the chance to. Whether it be just around home or out to Buck, so that we all can get together. And then when we do big trips, that's when we use our vacation, and we're going across the province somewhere, right? Whether it's with each other or by like just your family alone and just my family alone.
Yeah, no, and it is interesting. You talk to a lot of city people, and it's amazing how much time they spend in the city. Where myself, like being that I've always lived out at Gull Lake and have never lived in a city, I go to the city and I want the fuck out of there as fast as possible. I'm like, I'm out. Go in, get my stuff done, get out. I hate the city. I now, especially even getting older, I hate the city even more.
Yep.
I hate the. No offense to city people, but I don't like the drivers. I don't like how busy it is. I love living in the country where I can literally drive 20 minutes to work and not see a single person on the road. My traffic jam is deer standing on the road looking at me going, no, I don't want to move. Or a moose
or your
going,
tractor, right?
making me poop myself.
But yes, exactly. So, okay, so 2022 Shank exploration. What are you've already kicked off some videos with last year's kayaking and this year's ice fishing. I see you roped your wife into being the camera lady. How did she enjoy that?
I don't know if enjoy would be the correct term. She is excited that I want to, before I even went down this road, I first approached her and made sure she was okay with being in the videos, helping record and having the kids, because there is a lot of people that don't want kids on YouTube and stuff. So we had quite a bit of conversations ahead of time to make sure she was all comfortable with that. And I haven't yet told her errors in her ways with videoing. That will come the next video for sure when she's helping. But she was more than happy to do it. I asked her to do it, and she's like, yeah, of course. And she was all good with it. So that's the main thing. I even pre-warned her when we're on trips. I might have to bail out of the vehicle, go set up a camera so we could drive by it for a quick little 5-second shot and stuff like that. And she's not looking forward to certain aspects of it slowing us down, but I think she also realizes the benefits of me being a person that is always busy and can never sit down. I think she's happy to see me kind of step back once in a while as well. So it'll be interesting what comes for sure. But I would say to start off with, she's not excited about it like I am, but I think she's happy to see something that I'm enjoying doing.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, she's going to be excited being out with you guys, right? And whether it's stopping to put a camera out ahead, at the end of the day, you guys are all together as a family enjoying the outdoors, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, that is exactly correct. At least we're all together and out enjoying the outdoors and exploring stuff and just having a good time. That's what it's all about. Honestly, the amount of times, Jesus, we are having some technical difficulties. The amount of times we've even gone. Oh, I lost you. Hold up. The amount of times we've even gone just 20 minutes from home to do some grouse hunting in the fall and stuff like that, and we just enjoy being out as a family and doing stuff, from getting a Christmas tree to just even going for a drive sometimes. So I think she'll enjoy it as it goes along.
Exactly. Yeah, Autumn wasn't ecstatic at first either. She was more ecstatic that I was ecstatic, right? But as time has gone on, and Shank Outdoors doesn't have very many videos out right now, but over the last 7 years, I've dabbled in YouTube. And so she's used to me having cameras and recording. Yeah, I didn't upload those footage, and I have hard drives somewhere of all this footage, and it was mainly out on side by sides and ATVs, right? Um, but I've uploaded and then I've deleted, and now with Shank Outdoors, that's everything I upload is staying, no matter if I realize I don't like it or not. And that's where she's actually came in and excited with overlanding is, she prefers to be in the vehicle. She can be out of the wind. She can have her heat if she wants to, more comfortable. If she doesn't want to be splashed with mud, she doesn't have to be splashed with mud. Do up the window, right? So she seems really excited, and she's even talked about being more of the camera lady to get shots so that I'm not trying to do all of it myself, which is pretty cool. So it'll be interesting how that evolves this year of 2022. So with your video that you did with, especially with ice fishing, I know, what cameras are you using for your recording right now?
So currently I'm using two SJ cams, my phone, which is an iPhone 13, I think, and a Vulture camera. So they do all right, but it's just something to kind of get me started. I got like 8 batteries, and I have like 4 64 gig SD cards for them and stuff. So I figured before I jump in and buy a whole bunch of GoPros and everything else, I figured I'd start off with those. And I was actually pleasantly surprised. Like, the audio's not 100%. For my first video, it's not great, but it kind of got me started.
Yeah.
But at least these cameras are kind of getting me started. So then once I know for sure this is what I'm doing, then I'm going to go spend a little bit more money and get some different cameras for sure. But those are what I'm starting off with.
Yeah, and the only reason that at the end of the day the audio was different with those is because they're in a waterproof case, correct? Whereas a lot of the cameras nowadays are waterproof, so the microphone's on the outside, where the microphone's on the inside of this plastic case, right?
Yes, that is correct, is because they're in a waterproof case. And I've actually found a few cases overseas for the SJ cam where you have an external microphone, but it's a different waterproof case. So it's still all waterproof, but you have an external microphone. So I think I'm going to try out a few of those, see if that helps for the time being.
The other thing we can play with, because I have some cases still, I'm pretty sure, from my old SJ cams, is I have seen people, DIY guys as we are, is drilling a hole and either epoxy or JB welding an adapter into the case so that when you put the camera in, it's still waterproof, but you're able to get the audio out.
I saw something. I saw something very similar to that. I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's pretty much what these cases are. These cases, they have like a big screw adapter on the outside, so your cables go. You run the cables through that, which has a rubber boot. You plug it into your camera, then you screw it closed. This way, you can undo your cable and get out your camera really easily. But it's fully waterproof still. So I've been kind of looking at those. I haven't actually jumped on it yet. I've been spending money on my rifles right now, so I'm kind of not trying to make the wife angry and not order everything at once.
Yeah.
So those will be coming here soon. Right now with my video, I've been doing kind of the videos in the shop and around the yard and stuff right now. Kind of stuff I do more at home. I'm a welder by trade, so I've been doing a lot of welding and stuff. So the cameras haven't been in the cases. So I've noticed the audio way better that way.
You spill a drink or something? That face was very...
No, even better. That was the wife's plant.
Oh. Well, at least the wife isn't home to see that.
Exactly. I can clean it up before she'll even know. It's okay. I caught most of it.
Awesome. So we're talking about being outdoors and adventures. What is your most memorable adventure to date? Whether it be when you were younger or now with your kids and wife. What do you think?
Ooh. That's a difficult one. That really is. I would actually have to say my most memorable outdoor trip to date would be when we hopped on the motorcycles. I would have been about 14 at the time. So I wasn't quite riding my own bike yet, but we went down. We went all the way down through Alberta, and then we went into Whitefish, Montana. We took a couple days to get down there. When we were down there, we ran into an old Model T show. We did.
So before you go into the Model T show, for our listeners, what type of bikes are you talking about? Are you talking about a bicycle, a cruiser, a dual sport?
So we were on two Yamaha Ventures. One was a 1300 and one was an 1100 cruiser motorcycle.
Okay.
And then we towed a little utility trailer behind us that kind of popped into a mini tent trailer, and I slept in a tent. And we hauled all our gear between two bikes and that little trailer down to Whitefish, Montana.
That's one thing you don't see a lot is bikes pulling trailers.
Yeah, it's definitely, they got to be super lightweight, right? You got to have the right setup. But they do tow amazingly well.
So if you think
you'd be amazed the kind of wind and everything you can be in and still be comfortable.
And it just popped in my head because a lot of people, and we're going to get into this a little later about overlanding, because it's this whole new term over the last 5+ years, I would say, or, maybe even a little bit longer than that, but even more now than a couple years ago. It's just booming. But basically, you guys were overlanding. You're going across the country into another country on bikes and seeing new places, right? Pulling a trailer and staying in that trailer.
Yeah. No, you're 100% correct. We did do overlanding. And yeah, we went through the mountains and everything. We went all over hauling that little tiny tent trailer all over. And you're absolutely right. It's just a different form to what people put their minds to now. So yeah, that would be, man, we started doing that over 13 years ago now. That's great.
Yeah, right. So you Model T. That's where I interrupted you there.
Oh, so when we were in Whitefish, Montana, we came across a car show that was strictly all Model Ts. So these guys came from all over U.S. and Canada, and we just happened to run into them. There was between 50 and 100 running Model Ts that you had to crank to start. So you had to grab the crank handle on the front and start them up, and they were actually driving them across the country. They weren't trailering them. They were actually driving them. So we saw that, and then we went to, we were in Whitefish, Montana. So the mountain, we actually did downhill mountain biking, me and my dad. We did a few big runs of downhill mountain biking. We rented some bikes. So once I wore Dad out, I did an extra run. Then we did treetop climbing. So you're climbing between all the treetops on the mountain. The tallest point was over 100 feet up, and I'm scared of heights, but loved every moment of it.
I bet.
That same trip, we also did zip lining, and then we spent a couple more days down in Whitefish, and then we came up through BC and Radium? Yeah, we came into Radium, I think. It was Radium. Stayed the night there. And then the next morning, so when we went to bed that night, it was like plus 20. Beautiful weather. Perfect motorcycle weather. Not too hot, not too cold. Just like a nice warm breeze on you going down the highway. We're like, okay, we got some serious kilometers to make tomorrow. We got to get up early so we can get home. We were kind of running on the near end of our trip. So we got up early, had breakfast, hit the road for like 6:30 a.m. -5. Yeah, -5. There's a lot of conditions I've rode in on a motorcycle. I've rode in hail, I've rode in snow, I've rode in everything. But, just straight -5 in the mountains is a very uncomfortable feeling. It's fucking cold. It's not a lot of fun. And literally, you're just like, okay.
Because you're not even able to move to stay warm, right?
Next quarter. What was that?
You're not even able to really move to stay warm. And if you're not,
no, you can only move certain parts of you.
Yeah. So There's no blocking the
Yeah,
wind.
no, there really isn't.
So
And
really,
it's one of those
at the
things.
speed you guys are going, it probably jumped another, or like went down at least another 10 degrees with the wind speed.
Yeah, so luckily, so we went about an hour, and then we all went, okay, we got to stop. We pulled over, put on as much gear as possible, bundled up, and then kept going. And luckily, within, I think we're on the road another, so probably 2 hours total, and then all of a sudden, then it became beautiful out again. Then, of course, then you're doing the opposite. Now it's just stripping all your layers and trying to fit them back in the bike. And so, yeah, that trip was just overall phenomenal. Saw a lot of wildlife, got to see a lot of cool things. And that one just, also on that trip, why it's part of my favorite memory is we were on this one road. And I'm like, oh, Dad, on the map, remember there was that shortcut we were going to turn? I'm like, I think it's this road coming up. He's like, oh, yeah, that's going to knock. And it was going to knock like 55 miles off our trip. So 100K. And on a bike, that doesn't sound like a lot to people, but until you sit on a bike seat for 100 kilometers after you already did 600 kilometers, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, that's awesome. We can cut across, knock off all these kilometers, be there early. So we go to turn, and I'm like, hey, Dad. And he's like, what? I'm like, why would that sign say nothing longer than 25 feet long? That's kind of a weird measurement. And Dad goes, oh, well, usually that means sharp corners, and then it's a bit of a not great road. And we're turning onto it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This should be interesting. So we start going up this mountain, and it just gets steeper and steeper and steeper. And then all of a sudden, all the curves, all the corners, you know how they're supposed to be tapered towards the inside of the road? Well, these were all tapered towards a cliff that you could fall off that was over 200 feet up. So then by that point, I'm leaning over the motorcycle trying to get pictures because I think it's cool as hell. My dad's freaking out, and he's like, nope, we're turning around. So then, of course, you're on this stupid narrow road. You got no shoulders, like 2 vehicles make it past. Managed to get turned around. So then we lost kilometers, had to go back and then go all the way around. But I still just love that memory because my dad was just losing his mind as I'm trying to lean over the edge of a motorcycle over a cliff trying to get pictures. Like, this is freaking awesome. We were so high up, we were definitely dead.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that would be one of my probably favorite trips to date. There's so many funny occurrences that I wish I could have videoed it back in the day to now see it again.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can just picture you hanging over the bike and trying to take these pictures, and there's a cliff, and your weight's moving the bike closer to the cliff while Dad's trying to put his weight to the inside of the mountain. And yeah, just a good picture.
Yeah, total counterproductive.
So there's still many people that don't know what overlanding is, but once you get into once you know what overlanding is and you actually start looking around, you can see how popular overlanding is becoming. And I want to ask you why you think that is. Why do you think it's suddenly that just seems like everybody and their dog is getting into overlanding and going that route? The States really took off. Now you're seeing Canada. You're seeing businesses start up everywhere, whether it's in the bigger cities, the capitals of each province, or even the smaller ones like your small town, Lacombe, close to you. Yeah, there's a overland business in Lacombe, right? And I think there's another one in Black Falls. So there's multiple businesses starting up even in these small towns across these provinces of Canada. And just want to get your thoughts on why you think people are actually diving into overlanding.
So the biggest reason I would say is due to COVID. COVID had so many people worried. We were all stuck at home for so long, couldn't do so many things. Everyone had TV to watch. And okay, you still were allowed to go outdoors and do stuff, but people didn't do that. And so in my opinion, a lot of people with social media, especially Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, everything, all these platforms, all of a sudden all these videos start popping up of all these people doing all these cool things. And in my opinion, it kind of took that to everyone to realize all the great crown land we have that you can explore. There's an amazing amount of people. I remember back when I was in college, I would talk to people and they're like, wait, you can go out on crown land and go just shoot your gun? And it's like, yeah, that's where I target practice. It's like, it's crown land. You're allowed to. And it's pretty, I think there was just a lot of people that didn't realize how much stuff is actually outside the city that you can explore. Yes, you do have to follow rules and regulations, but I don't think they realize the freedom there is. And especially over the last even 5 years camping. Like me and my wife started off in a tent trailer, then went to a hybrid, and then went to a fifth wheel. I guess 8 years now. That's a span over 8 years. We saw campgrounds that never had anyone in it. We would get there, there'd be 2 units and us. To a few years ago, we went to one of our favorite campgrounds that no one ever went into because it's kind of a crappy back road and everything else to get to, and that's called Crescent Falls. And you got to cross a nice little creek and stuff to get into it, and it's a full-blown campground, but they recommend only little trailers, but if you're a good driver, you can fit quite the unit in there. And the last time we went, that campground was stuffed full.
Really?
And so I think, and now, so with people starting to camp and stuff more and starting to get outdoors more, there's now an issue also with, campgrounds getting too full. So I think people started looking at what's the next thing I can do. For example, not just particularly overlanding, but there was this one page I started following for out past Nordegg for all the crown land camping out there. The one guy, he wanted to just make some friends to go camping with. He started a social media page here in Alberta. It's called Alberta Camping or something like that. And within 3 weeks, it blew up to like 5,000 people joined it. And now if you go out past Nordegg camping, all you see is fucking campers everywhere. Because everyone was like, oh, you got to go here. It's awesome. And now there's thousands of people that know about it. So it's all just, in my opinion, social media, COVID, and people getting locked away for so long. And now all some people are realizing all this great stuff you can do that's just outside your door. You drive a few hours, you're in the beautiful anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're in the world.
I'm going to pause you here, Chad. Your mic is in and out.
Can you hear me now?
It's like you're covering it with your hand. I think it's the input, not the mic itself.
How about now?
There you go. Now you're back to normal.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's one thing that is good and bad about social media is if a place is shared to go to this wonderful place out in the backcountry, not saying it's wrong to share, but it can go the wrong way, and now it's overpopulated and there's garbage left. Like the wrong people are now going and they're leaving garbage. They're not being stewardships of the trail and or stewards of the trail and packing in what they pack up, packing out what they pack in, right? Or it's getting super busy and being overloaded. But yes, I would agree that everyone got fed up of being cooped up, and a lot of new people, like you said, suddenly realized that right outside their back door, an hour away, is this beautiful country that they didn't even realize. Because especially, let's say around the Edmonton area, we're all farmland. Anywhere like a lot of the east of Alberta is just farmland, just blank fields, right? And then going west, that's where you get into the real beautiful, or going north, real beautiful country. And if you're new to the country, or you're a family that just never adventures out of your area, you don't really know what you can see with your own eyes driving a few hours. And it's much easier to get into an RV or trailer nowadays. You can get a 10-year loan on these RVs at a $50 a month payment or whatever it is, right? Depending the size of trailer you're getting. So now people can afford to get these big trailers or any size RV trailer, where before you had to have the cash money to go and buy a trailer, right? So that's also, I think, what's changed.
Well, and one also scary thing is they're actually doing 25-year loans now. I heard on the radio the other day. You can get locked into a trailer for 25 years. I don't know about you, but none of these new trailers are lasting 25 years.
No,
but
they're not.
So that's a prime example. Okay, a 25-year loan, say on a 50 grand on a super fancy unit. I don't know what that would be, but it monthly, that's pretty cheap, and that's why a lot of people are doing it.
Yep.
Especially with everything else being so expensive, they're like, wow, we can actually get out there and explore. We can't go to Florida this year, but at least we can go do all this other stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
And really, it's, looking at it for me, overlanding is I never thought of it as overlanding when I saw these rigs. I saw these guys as, like your name, going exploration, right? Or an expedition. Oh, because that's what the main word was for me, knowing that people are going out and doing long trips, couple weeks, couple months, a year plus, whatever it is, they're going on an expedition. And then suddenly, this overlanding word comes along, and it's like, well, what is this? And for a lot of people, and there's a big many gossip or conversations over this topic of what really is overlanding, because some people, it's just a weekend warrior, right? You're just going out and you're adventuring on land, going across the country and staying in your vehicle or mini trailer, whatever you're in. So basically, if you're living in a van and you're doing the van life, as if you want to use that word, it sounds like you're having troubles over there.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Some could say that they are overlanding because they built their van to be an overlander, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's what you take it as a meaning. Just like, I could say that I'm going on an expedition. Oh, where are you going? Well, I'm going to go see Vancouver.
Yeah.
What?
No, and that's it's all how you take it. There is, like, a lot of people, you get the overlanders that they're truly going hardcore 4x4 off-roading to places where you need a hell of a machine. And then there's the other side of things where someone sees overlanding as, you're just jumping in even a car and heading out west and camping on the side of the road.
Well, look at that guy that took his Ferrari all the way up to Alaska, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I can't remember what his Instagram name is. I'll put it into the show notes for anyone that's interested, but he jumped in his Ferrari. Now, it's a 1980 something classic Ferrari from what I recall. And yeah, he went across both countries, across North America, all the way up to Alaska. I don't know what state he's from, but that's what he did for 2020 or 2021. Just crazy. I'm pretty sure it was this 2021 that he finished his trip. And yeah, it doesn't matter what you have, where you go, because you could be, like you said, a hardcore off-roader in this done-up vehicle that costs, you put 50 grand on top of what your vehicle costs, let's say, even 10, 20 grand, and because of how much parts cost nowadays. And then you're going on these crazy rock climbs, etc., in the mountains, or even in the desert, and then you have the guys that are just going on the forestry roads that are a gravel road. They're able to go in these forestry roads that are still being used or not in service anymore, but you're able to use them because they're classified as a trail. And you're still overlanding. You're going out, adventuring, staying in your vehicle, staying in a tent outside your vehicle, on top of your vehicle, whatever it might be, in a trailer. Now for me, we've been off-roading since we were, 5 years old, 3 years old, basically, yeah. Right? Like, you younger than me, because my first dirt bike was 5, and then, when we moved out to the country, you were just a baby. So you would right off the bat were introduced to two-wheelers, four-wheelers, three-wheelers, whatever we had at the time. And so we've been doing it ever since. And, you know, going up to Fort St. John, BC, and ATVing up there and being part of this, the volunteers of taking care of the trails. And, you know, it's funny where you go, because for me, I knew people went off-roading in their vehicles. Didn't know where they went, right? Just knew that there's Crown Land. They're out ripping around in their 4x4. Not really, not knowing really where they go. And then going up to Fort St. John, then you kind of saw some trails that people were taking, and then there's the argument of, well, can that 4x4 be on our trail? Well, in BC, we lost Chad again. Chad's back. So Fort St. John, you've got the trails. Oh, I can hear myself. Hello? Okay. So Fort St. John, you have the trails up there, and there's the arguments of, should that vehicle be on this trail, etc. And the laws on the ATV trails in BC is, unless if it's a highway registered vehicle, then that vehicle can't be on that trail. But if it's actually, that vehicle is registered as an OHV vehicle, it can be on the trail. So someone can specifically take a vehicle and plate it as an OHV off-road vehicle and put them on these trails. So anyways, kind of a conflict fight up there with the northern folk up there is what I saw. And then coming down back to Alberta, and, you know, enjoying our ATV side-by-sides, all that. COVID hits, and I don't actually remember if I was watching videos before COVID, or if it was, 2020 when I actually really started seeing overlanding videos. It's hard to remember that far back of when I actually started watching overlanding, but that's when I really started looking at where you can go within Alberta and British Columbia with these 4x4 vehicles, because again, I knew people were going places, but didn't know actually where they were going and if they were able to legally. And there's a lot of trails that are just for vehicles, 4x4 trucks, SUVs, full-size vehicles. If your vehicle can get in and you can get out, go ahead, right? And the more, even right now, 2022, diving in and anything I see or come across on forums, I'm saving, and even just searching on the maps itself with Gaia, you're able to, if you have the pro version, which is actually reasonably priced, and especially reasonably priced if you are able to get a coupon to knock off 40%, which I did. And you already have all these trails. Like if you know the name, you're able to find these trails that people go on to go overlanding or just adventuring, right? And if you don't, then you're able to search, and then you're able to save the waypoints of these trails, which is even cooler. So that's what I've been doing to plan ahead for future trips. And I think, again, back to being on YouTube and these forums or the Facebook groups, like you're saying that one person just wanted someone to camp with, and now he's got 5,000 people in around him camping, basically. Maybe not every weekend, but there's 5,000 people that now have an idea where to go out of that Facebook group. And the more that's people with COVID, more people have realized that there's more than just the TV satellite. Like just talking to people at work, or come across, a lot of people only thought YouTube was for just random crap, I'm going to say, and not really realizing what you can actually learn off of it, whether it's how to fix something, to build something, how to do math. And then COVID hit, and all social media platforms, like you said, saw a huge leap in users. And the further we go in the future, 2022, 2023, more countries come accessible to these platforms as well. So then that's even more people, more information coming on. So with your build, I know you're planning a build. It might be a little bit of ways still, but what are your thoughts? Because, you know, some people are doing a van, some people are doing an SUV, a truck, even a full-size truck now. People are doing their Ram 1500s or their Ram 2500s. And then there's people like me that went out and spent 7 months due to work, spent 7 months building a 4x8 off-road trailer to tow behind whatever vehicle I choose. What are you thinking about doing?
So back to that secret project thing.
So it's not really going to be a secret.
Yeah, it won't be such a secret now, but I won't go too in depth about that. But I guess so. My ultimate goal moving forward, not this year, but kind of when prices start to drop, is I will be going SUV route because I want a dedicated vehicle. So if I break something, put it into a tree, something bad happens, it's just going to be a spare vehicle.
That's me too.
But for 2022 for this year, I'm building a rooftop tent trailer. So it's going to be a small utility trailer that I can haul behind any vehicle, or it's even going to be small enough to go behind a side-by-side. It's going to have lots of cargo space with a rooftop tent on top. So this way, if I want to go somewhere where I don't have to go off-roading, I can just jump in the Jeep or the SUV and take it anywhere. But if I want to go a little more aggressive and get out there, I'm also going to make it because my 3/4 ton GMC has a sled deck. So I'll be that guy in a full-size truck off-roading. This way I can put the rooftop tent on my sled deck and still get out there cheaply and easily. But being that it's an older truck and everything, I don't feel as bad taking it into those areas. I actually just got an aftermarket bumper for it from Bandit Bar. It's just getting built right now and should be installed within the next week. So there will be a video of how to install it. I'm going to do that out of my shop. So that'll be released. That's going to be a few weeks out still until that video is released.
Sweet.
But I'm going to start building up my GMC. It's expensive on fuel, but it's very capable rig, just as a stock truck with nice tires and everything. So I'm going to start off with that, and then also have the little trailer. So the biggest thing for 2022 is the wife's not really too intrigued about joining quite yet. So this will be kind of a way for me and the kids to hop in a vehicle, take off, and go check out little trout ponds and stuff like that, and then still have somewhere comfortable to sleep, the three of us, and give the wife a break from the kids and get me and the kids out somewhere. And then when the wife does want to join, then we'll have to go to a bigger rooftop tent. We're going to go to one of the XL versions will be the plan. So that's this year's plan, is just kind of keeping it low key and a little bit smaller.
But
as everyone is
at the end of the day, and we already kind of went through this just a little bit, like you said, overlanding to some people just getting in a car. At the end of the day, for people that want to overland, you just need to get out. Get in your vehicle and drive. Find a destination that you want to go to and go see it, especially if you've never seen it before. You can go stay in a tent, your normal camping tent that you can go buy at Walmart for $120. Take that with you and go overlanding, right? You don't have to go all crazy and think you have to go buy a new vehicle and put a rooftop tent on it, or buy a $40,000 overlanding trailer to be overlanding. So, like you said, you are building something, a trailer to pull behind, but at the end of the day, you have your truck that you can put your rooftop tent on, because you have the sled deck, easily to put on the sled deck, take it off if you need to, and get out. So and that's to anyone that's interested in overlanding. Don't think you have to pour hundreds of thousands of dollars into something just to go overlanding, especially if you don't even know if you like doing it or going to like doing it. Grab the tent that you have, go to Walmart if you don't have a tent, or you can even stay in the back seat of your vehicle if you really don't have the funds to go get a tent and a cooler and all this, all these items that these overlanders on YouTube that have hundreds of thousands of followers and these thousands of dollar rigs, you don't need all that fancy gear. It's just getting out, right? Now, for me, with building my trailer, it was also a way to test myself. I've never built a trailer before, and I know my family. My wife was like, "Oh, you're gonna build a trailer?" Like, she didn't say it, but people are thinking. Even at work, they give that face expression like, okay, you're building a trailer. I wonder how this is going to come out, And then now that it's built, people are like, holy shit, you built that? And it's like, yeah, I built that in my garage. And they're impressed, but I took my time. I did my research. If I didn't know something, I didn't just do it. I looked it up and figured, okay, if they're doing it this way, maybe I can do it this way. And if I was doing something and didn't like how it was about to look, I stopped what I was doing and went a different route, right? So, sorry, more back onto your build or however you want to go with your overlanding plans.
So this year, and it's not just a little utility trailer either. Like, it may sound that way. Since I'm a welder, of course, I'm making
I have
it
to
so
ask,
it can bounce off.
Is it the old motorcycle trailer frame that you're building off of?
It's a different frame, but that container.
Okay.
So it's a very modified frame, I should say that. So I'm taking that cargo trailer that you knew about.
Yep.
I've built a different frame for it. Well, okay, I'm in the process of building a different frame for it. So the frame is going to be able to bounce off trees, bounce over rocks. I'm going to make it so
it's
it can just tow down the highway beautifully, but I can, it's going to be able to be used behind a side-by-side or an off-road vehicle with zero issues going wrong. I'm overbuilding it, if anything, for sure, being that I am a welder. I overbuild stuff. I'm not an engineer, so next best thing is overbuild it. So that's the plan for this year, and I have so much scrap metal and stuff kicking around, and so much access to metal that I can build it very cheaply. Like right now, the only money I have into it is the rooftop tent.
That's
everything
awesome.
else, and I'm halfway built already. Everything else is just metal I got kicking around from over the years of doing jobs for people, and they're like, well, shit, I don't know what I'm going to do with this metal. It's like, I'll put it in my pickup. And I've thrown it in the pickup and brought tubing home and this home and that home. I'm going to end up having to buy some stuff, but I'm definitely doing a budget build, shall you call it. And then moving forward, and also the reason I want to do that is this way I can kind of test out if I like the truck feel off-road or if I like the Jeep off-road, kind of which way I want to go. Do I want the SUV style for sure, or do I want the luxury of having a box and a pickup? Because being a huge into hunting to feed my family, there's also the other side of it where do I want the box of a pickup so I can throw an animal in there so I can go out into the middle of nowhere, camp in my rooftop tent, do a weekend hunt, get my animal, put it in the truck, come home. So there's a lot more to it in my mind. So this year's definitely just kind of feeling it out. But ultimately, I would like to go the SUV route, being that SUVs just work really well for the family and the dogs and everything else. This way we can have the dogs in the very back, have the kids, have me and the wife in there. I was originally looking at getting a Nissan Xterra. I'm not sure if I'm going to go that route still.
That's funny
being
because I'm in the same boat. But go ahead.
Sorry, what was that?
I said, but that's funny because I'm actually in the same boat. You can go ahead and I'll explain why I'm probably not going with the Xterra myself when I do go and buy this overland vehicle. But go ahead.
So the reason I'm not going the Xterra is now, since they've been discontinued for so long, there's a lot of parts you cannot get for them that break regularly. And there's not as much support. Now, being that I am an aftermarket builder for parts for vehicles, that's not a problem, but I don't want to run into the price of parts because they're expensive to fix because they're a Nissan, and B, the lack of parts there is because now you got to know where to find the parts or find a used one wrecked that you can get the parts.
Yeah.
So what I've actually been looking into is 1990s Jeep Cherokee XJ, the old square body.
Easy to work on, classic. Yeah.
Yeah, easy to work on, classic, indestructible in my opinion. You know what? Everyone looks at them and laugh because they're a freaking square little box SUV. But when you look into actually the componentry of them, you can do anything you want with them if you have the skill. And being that I'm mechanical and everything else, I see all the opportunities that come with them.
Yes.
And you can pick them up for a pretty reasonable price. And then also
I'd say a
this way,
very reasonable price if you actually wait for the good ones. Right?
Yeah, if I was buying one this year, I would have bought one last week. There was just an absolute gorgeous one that popped up with 180,000 K, all original.
Was it
Some
red?
old boy owned it, and just beautiful. It was mint, like it was brand new. Like you'd never even guess it left the garage.
Yes.
and he wanted like $3,000.
Wow.
Like, yeah, just one of those. It was gone within 2 days. Like it was sold.
Yeah.
So as long as you're willing to wait, you can find them. And then you have just a bulletproof little frame chassis. And it's also not everyone's, Jeep Wranglers. It's something different. I want something different.
Yes.
So in my mind, it's something that'll stand out. People will be like, what the hell is that guy thinking? And then once it's done up, they'll be like, that's pretty damn sweet.
Yeah. People have really made them into a nice vehicle. And then, you have your true, your 4x4, and people do a lot of work to them, and like you said, you can get them at great price. And that was what I was seeing with the Xteras when we had talked a few months ago. The prices just keep going up and up, and the kilometers are just crazy kilometers, and they're just beat up. And at one point you could get a Xterra at a decent price. Now you're spending high money on an Xterra with high kilometers. And the parts. I didn't look into that myself, but it totally makes sense when everything else is, a lot of vehicles, food, whatever it might be, your normal stuff for a printer is back ordered because of no availability. If a vehicle is discontinued, and they have been for multiple years, they're not making those parts anymore. So it's going to be hard to find. And if you do find them, they're going to be super pricey, or you got to pull it off a wrecked unit at a junkyard.
Yeah, and that's what really got me looking at it, is because I got looking at that, and you can do a lot of cool things with them. Like you do the T-swap, it's called, where you take a Titan front end and put it onto a Nissan Xterra. So you can have 12 inches of suspension travel on the front end on independent front suspension. You get a 6-inch overall wheelbase stance wider. So then you run spacers on the back, and you can do some incredible things with them. But now, since the word's out that you can do that stuff with them, that's why the prices are climbing. Everyone goes, oh my God, I want that instead of a Jeep. So now you're seeing them sell like crazy. I saw one with a blown motor the other day still sell for $5,000 with a freaking blown motor.
That's crazy.
And the body had, I think, just shy of 300,000 K on it.
Yeah.
Like, just stupid.
Yeah.
It had some aftermarket parts and everything else, but it's it was an old unit, miled out. It's like, no.
Yeah, you've got that, the Pathfinder and the Xterra, the Titan, the Pathfinder, and the Xterra, all intertwining parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're looking, that's what I was first looking at when I was looking at before, the Cherokee XJ. There wasn't very many available, and it was all Pathfinders. Xteras. So I was like, okay, well, I do like the look of the Xterra, and they're reasonably priced. And then over the winter, the prices just got higher, and higher. And now we're into the spring, and it's like, nope. And that's when I found out, talking with you, is that you were looking at the same vehicle. And we're still in the same boat, but I'm also looking at, because we owned one already, and then we sold it, is we're actually looking at Jeep Commander as well. Because Autumn really loved it. If you get the right one, you will have the same 4-wheel drive system as the Cherokees, with the 4-low and locking front diff. So it all depends, and the prices and the kilometers are reasonable. especially just looking at them. And when they're done up, when they're even just with a lift, they look like an expedition vehicle, and that's what they were based off of when Jeep made them, is making them look like a expedition vehicle for how they're set up with the fenders and the square body and the upper seating. And so yeah, that's what I've been looking at, trying to see what's available, because I'm just seeing the Xterra. It's like, okay, what else is out there that you can do something? It works great. It will work great, but is also different. It's not a Jeep Wrangler 2-door, 4-door Gladiator, these common vehicles that you see people doing.
Yeah, and a nice thing too about the Jeep Commander, just like the Jeep Cherokee, is your narrower wheelbase and a short wheelbase, which makes it nice for a lot of these places that you and I have talked about going. Is having that little bit narrower of a vehicle, you can get into places a lot easier.
Yes.
So I understand why you're definitely. So we're both still looking at square body Jeeps, ironically.
Yes, we are.
I'm just looking at older ones.
Well, no, I'm still looking at the XJs. I was looking at that before. Okay. Even I've always wanted one. Before I wanted the Xterra, it's just they weren't being available, and the ones that were, they wanted $7-10 grand, right? Because They knew, and now suddenly it's back to, you can pick one up for under $5 grand in great condition, or in reasonable condition, for making it a vehicle that you're going to be potentially bashing anyways, right? If an accident happens, an accident happens. And that's why, I'm picking up a spare, technically you can call it a spare vehicle. It's only going to be used on going on adventures, where the wife's SUV is still able to go get groceries, or my truck is able to sit there and then go use for hunting or for pulling the fifth wheel trailer, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm using the truck right now for the adventures, but or the SUV with the trailer. It's just the SUV is not going in these crazy areas. The truck I'm not afraid to take it into the bush, but with the gas prices, just today we went 250 kilometers, and that cost us, we've filled up, and I put the odometer on and went and filled up again. And with the gas prices right now, it costs $72 to go 250 kilometers.
Yeah, it sounds about right. You should try my 6.
And that's not hauling anything, right?
Yeah, I know.
That's the sad part.
No, and that's why this year I'm not going to be doing as much exploration as I hope, just due to the prices of everything.
Yeah.
So this year it'll mostly focus on. There'll be some camping and everything, but it'll be a lot of fishing, a lot of come fall, a lot of my hunting, because I do crossbow hunting September, October, and then come November, it's rifle season. That's what my
go ahead.
That's what my YouTube channel will become this fall. But this year, at least the wife's SUV or the Jeep, at least I can hook the little trailer to, and even just go out to a little trout pond with the kids or anything like that, right?
So speaking of trout pond, I'm not sure I don't think I've told you this. So this is a little news to you, because I'm pretty sure you're going out to Open Creek May 28th, correct?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of weekends booked.
Oh, yes, there's a whole bunch of weekends booked. I'm not sure if you're going out for that weekend, but if you are going, and I don't have all the information yet, but there is a kayak fishing tournament that weekend, May 28th. And I learned that.
Oh, cool.
Yes. And so you can and it's not just kayaks, so you can be anything that's man powered. So you can be in a canoe, you can be in a kayak, you can be in one of those man tubes. As long as it's man powered, you're allowed to enter into the tournament. So I'll have more information. We're going to bring in Western Kayak Trail onto the podcast. They've been going for a bit now and making these tournaments across Alberta and British Columbia. And they actually do an online tournament as well. So you can go and sign up right now, or starting May to September, I'm pretty sure it was. From May to September, you can go online and submit your fish. And what you do is you have your measurement ready. So when you pull out your fish, you're taking an overview capture of the type of fish you caught and the size it is, and putting it into the tournament. And then you can possibly win cash fishing rods, other fishing gear at the end of the year. And you don't have to be at these tournaments if you're working. And then if you are able to make it to these tournaments, then you're able to win that weekend some type of prizes if you have caught the right size, because they're not going by weight, it's all by size. And the way they fish is, it's not how many you caught, the weight of the fish, it's all about taking care of the fish as well.
Cool.
So you're catching it, you're taking a photo in the measurement, and you're successfully putting it back into the lake or pond, allowing it to live another day.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I heard something about it last year, but I didn't really look into it a whole lot. That's very cool that they're doing that, especially taking care of the fish. You see a lot of fishermen don't do that.
Yes. And that's another thing. Like, we were at the Edmonton Sportsman and Boat and Sportsman show, and that's where I talked with Trevor. So he went up on stage, did his show about this kayak fishing and why he's trying to show more people about kayak fishing, because a lot of people just don't know that you can fish that way, and why people enjoy it. And I learned actually quite a few things on the kayaks itself, where I had a different interpretation on the certain kayaks that they were using versus what you and I use. We just use a basic kayak, versus what they're using. And you can actually stand towards the end of the kayak on those fisherman kayaks. You're not just on that chair. You're able to stand up and move around. That's how stable they are in the water. And I didn't know that. Like, he was saying he even puts a cooler sometimes on top of his chair and stands on that so he can get a higher look down at the water to see where the fish are when he's in clear water. Then he knows where to cast. And he says it's stable. It's very stable. He's not wobbling like we do in our normal kayaks, just sitting there.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
Really cool. So yeah, talk to Trevor there. He's interested in coming on. So hopefully in a couple episodes, you guys will hear our conversation with him and the tournaments this year, where they'll be, and what got him starting this whole adventure of kayak fishing tournaments across Alberta and BC. So yeah, that's I hear you with the adventures of 2022. I've got so many plans, but at the same time, looking at prices and fuel, it's like, yeah, that's probably going to be pushed. Because when it all adds up, and I'm sure that's with a lot of people, right? Looking at, I want to go places, but maybe we will, but not as many as we normally do or want to, if prices don't drop, especially gas at $100.65 a liter.
Yeah, we were $1.70 in Rimbey on Wednesday when I went to grab fuel.
Yeah, and then think of places elsewhere, right? Like Fort St. John is $2.20 right now.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? And Vancouver, I'm sure, is the same. Like those lower mainland areas,
oh, yeah.
I'm sure they're the same price.
They're over $2 already when I was talking to Sam.
Yeah. So just crazy. Well, that's cool. I look forward to seeing your videos and your build series. So you're doing a full series of this build of, starting from here, doing an episode. This is where we're at, and just doing updates. Is that what you're kind of planning?
Yeah. So I'm getting all the video. I'm not sure how I'm going to lay it out yet. I'm going to get all the video done.
Is your hand covering the microphone? You're very muffled.
Oh, yep.
There you go.
I totally was. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it so far, but right now I'm videoing. Right when I get in the shop, I start my videos. I got 2 cameras going at all times. So I'm going to video the whole. Right now it's just all tacked up. I actually got to now start welding.
Sweet.
Well, minus the fenders. I haven't built the fenders yet because I got to build custom fenders still. I've been too busy doing other stuff. But anyways, so I'm not sure how I'm going to release it yet, but I'm going to get all the video done and then look at all my video and see how much good video I have. It might be broke up into 3 or 4 videos. It could be 2 videos. So I'm not too sure. But there will definitely be like a sneak peek video and then me starting to build it, and then it all finish on an adventure is kind of how I want to do it. It's going to be a little bit yet. With it already being almost April, there's a month until the garden goes in the ground.
I didn't release my trailer build video until almost 6 months. Yeah, it was 6 months after I built it, right? It was all on timing of editing and how I planned it, and yeah, I had all that footage. And there's a lot of footage, and some people don't know this, but you know, when you're recording a video, I don't know about others, but you know, for myself, maybe 3/4 of the video that I've recorded doesn't get used.
That
right?
sounds about
like
right.
it's just how it works, because you're trying to get the best shots. And you know, if you were to use every recording that you use, you're going to have more than an hour or a couple hours of video, and unfortunately nobody's just going to sit there and watch all the parts. They want to see all the good parts within that few minutes, otherwise they're bored and watching something else, right?
No, and that's exactly it. Is in my opinion, like, I know most of the YouTube videos I watch are, I'd say, 30 minutes and under. Some of the ones I liked and join are the ones that are like a little 15-minute blurbs. You know,
Yes,
those are the ones that kind of get me hooked the most. But also, I don't sit still, so that's who I am.
but it's nice just taking that 15
that's
minutes.
kind of how I want to do it, is keep shorter videos.
Yes. And it is nice to be able to, okay, I need a quick break from what I'm doing here. 5, 10, 15-minute video. Okay, now I'm going back to what I was doing before, or doing something different, right? It's just a quick little brain break and going and getting back to what your task at hand, or whatever your plan was, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's how I'm kind of planning on doing it. So we'll see how it all comes together. I've been trying to get pictures of actually, like, up close to the welder and everything like that. And there's definitely going to be parts of the video I have to not show, because yeah, it's just
Safety
like,
second?
okay, you should not put that disc on that grinder. No, that's definitely like a no in anyone's world. But I'm a welder.
So we're definitely talking safety second here.
Yeah. So there'll definitely be some editing for sure. Then actually, I was laughing the other night. I was up there working, just doing like a half hour. And all of a sudden, I'm like, holy shit. I worked like a 13-hour day, and then came home and got the kids and helped them get them to bed. And it was just a crazy long day. And then I was like, I'm going to go do a half hour. I need to kind of take a break from life. So I went up there, did a half hour, and then literally all of a sudden, out of the blue, I just like was standing there having a drink, scrolling on my phone. And all of a sudden, I'm like, then I look up at the camera. I'm like, fuck, I forgot to turn off the camera. I'm like, yep, this is the moment you realize my brain is done.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think it's bedtime. Turned off the camera and came down.
Hey, at least you have the camera on. I've done it where the camera doesn't get turned on, and then you realize you go to turn it off, and it's like, what do you mean you just turned on? I wasn't recording at all. Yeah. Well, you've got that secret build. I've got my little portable fireplace I've been building, so hopefully I'll have that done. I was supposed to have that done last weekend, and other things came up, and I didn't work on it. Didn't work on it this week. I could have after work, but my brain was just, I didn't want to. My brain wouldn't fully be there, and with recording the build, etc., I was like, no, I want to be fully there so I can get the right. I'm building so I can not mess up on my build, but also get the right footage for this build. So yeah, excited to have that, because then that will help with any fire bans upcoming this year. If I do get out onto any adventures and there's a fire ban, I can just pop out my little portable fireplace, turn on the propane, and at least enjoy some sort of fire, right?
That's a very cool idea.
Yeah, so and then maybe, because it's only March, and we all us Albertans know that we're going to keep getting snowfall until May long. So I'm hoping to at least go and get out with the wife's SUV and the trailer and do one camping trip with the diesel heater, because I just haven't had time. I got it for Christmas, was planning to do a few trips this winter with it, and then it backfired on me because of parts failed right out of the box, right? Finally have it complete, ready to go, and I still haven't actually got to test it in the rooftop tent. So fingers crossed, at least with me testing it, I won't be testing it in -20, -30 nights, right? I'll be in -5. So that's a plus, I guess you could look at it that way. So
Yeah, at least that way, if something does go wrong too, at least in -5, you can stay warm pretty easy.
yeah, and again, I'd have the because the trailer has battery power US or the solar panels on that, I'll have the powered blanket, the heated blanket. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, anything you want to add before we cut off the episode there, bud?
No, I really appreciate you having me on this week's episode. This is one interesting chat. I really didn't know what to expect coming into this. I was like, I have no idea what we were talking about, yet we've been here, I don't know how long. So, no, this was great. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
I think we're going to be around an hour and a half in total with our... yeah, and that's what I love about podcasts, especially when you have somebody else on. Out of nowhere, you don't realize how long you've been talking for, especially if you have something to talk about. So hopefully our listeners enjoy this episode, with it being longer than my last few, because when it's just been me, I've been sticking around the 15 to 30 minute episodes. So thank you again for taking your time out of your busy days. I didn't even know you were doing this new build, and you've got the kids, you've got your house renovations, work, of course. So again, thank you for taking the hour and a half coming on. You're always welcome to come back on if you think of something or you want to update our listeners with your build, new adventures in the future. Just let us know, and I'll send you again a meeting invite, and you can come on and update both me and our listeners, because look at that, I'm your own brother and I didn't even know about the secret build, so that's pretty cool. Again, I guess before we go, Chad, where can our listeners find you on social media?
So I'm mostly on Instagram right now, but I do have a few videos out on YouTube as well. But I try to post every week on what's going on in my little world and look for Shank Exploration. And right in my picture, there is a picture of kind of nice trees and stuff with Shank Exploration.
So Shank Exploration, that's just all one word?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. So Shank Exploration on Instagram and Shank Exploration on YouTube. Awesome. So we'll be able to follow your adventures on there. Are you keeping your build series a secret right till the video's up, or are you going to be posting photos of it here and there on Instagram?
Once I get a little bit further, I am going to be doing little sneak peeks of the trailer. Because like I said, I'm just in the process of tacking everything up. I now have the rooftop tent here, so I can actually get that. Now I have the rest of the measurements I need to actually kind of keep going on the roll cage part. So I will be doing some sneak peek photos, shall we say, within the next couple weeks. But then the actual release of when it's all painted up and ready to go won't be for a while until it's done. But probably in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to drop a few little pictures here and there just to show everyone kind of where it's at and what it's going to be. It's not going to be what people expect.
Cool. That's exciting. It's great to be different. If you're just following other people's builds, not saying there's something wrong, but being unique and being different, that's why as human beings we all have our different wants, needs, interests, and it's really cool that you're going out of your own way to completely make a totally different build that nobody's seen. So I'm excited to see it. I went a square drop route on my trailer, a little different than most people with square drops, but it's still a basic design. So I'm intrigued on how you're building this little trailer to go behind everywhere. And yeah, again, if you want to check out Chad's channel, Shank Exploration on Instagram and YouTube, if you want to see a lovable lab that loves to go on adventures with Chad, he's got some videos on there, even in a kayak with him. Bella loves going on adventure, beautiful dog. And so you love dogs, definitely check out his channel. Again, thanks, Chad, for coming on, and we'll see you in hopefully a couple episodes.
Sounds good. Thanks, Shank Outdoors, for having me.
Keep dancing with the devil, but he doesn't have a back, no.